Hey, this is Catherine Britt with John Broughton on Retrospectives on Casey Radio 97.7 FM.
Yeah.
Yep.
No worries.
Busy time for you at the moment. New album, independence, direction in your career, but we can also add the major awards show host to your resume coming up this weekend too. You must be excited about that.
Yeah, excited is one word for it. Extremely nervous is another. I've never done anything like that before, so I'm going to be like holding on for dear life, I think, the whole time, just hoping I don't stuff it up, but I'm looking forward to it.
Just going back a bit, I believe your dad had a profound influence in your discovery of music. Tell us about that, and have you ever pondered whether you would have had the same discovery of music without that influence?
Well, I don't know if I would have. I mean, I always loved music from a young age, so I guess that would have still been there, but the influence that my dad had on me musically was just, so big, and he just really influenced what I listened to and like what I discovered musically as well as a little girl, and it really sort of changed my whole direction in my life. I was thinking I was going to grow up and be like him and be a psychologist, and then, this love of music was sort of put in my life, and there was no turning back, really. I didn't have a choice. It was what I wanted to do no matter what. So, yeah, from a very young age, I knew that. So, yeah, interesting.
How do you look back on your very early songwriting efforts now? Can you pinpoint a moment in time when you really started to develop a self-confidence there?
Oh, look, I think I still sort of struggle with self-confidence there a little bit. I think you always do as a songwriter. You're always second-guessing your lyrics and your melodies, and, you want to be the best because you're listening to the best, and growing up on people like Hank Williams and Bob Dylan and, poets, really, you're kind of going, gosh, do I even stand up even close to these people? And you want to, you strive to. So I don't know. I think that's a growing thing over time. There are some songs I'm very proud of and I'm sure of, and there's others that, I go, oh, I wish I fixed that line or, whatever, as you listen back throughout the years. But that's just natural. I think, as artists, we're so hard on ourselves and we're always constantly second-guessing what we're doing and wanting to strive to be better, which I guess, is not a bad thing.
Yeah. Looking back on your early days, it's well documented your years spent in Nashville, going over there at the tender age of 17, a huge move, a gutsy move. Reflecting on that now, what would be the main thing you took out of that Nashville experience?
I guess for me, I kind of learned a lot of like what not to do. There was so much I got from it. I got to tour, amazing places and with amazing artists and do some incredible things. And it was like going off to college or something, like off to uni to learn the ins and outs of the music business and, the best from the best in the business. And it was quite an experience. But, I think at the end of the day, I was so young. I was on my own as well over there. So I was really easily influenced and, was very easily influenced, particularly by men and alcohol, and just kind of allowed that to run my life a little bit. And, music was so important to me that I had to sort of do whatever, I needed to sort of be able to stay over there. And it just got to a point where I didn't want to compromise. And, we kind of went our separate ways, and I came back to Australia and was able to do what I wanted to do and go back and forth with the fan base I had created. And I kind of feel like I much prefer it this way. I kind of learnt that you don't have to mold yourself to a system or to a radio sound or whatever to be successful. Success is in your mind, and what your level is in your head. For me, it was always a dream just to pay my bills by doing what I love. And that's what I do. So mission accomplished.
For sure. Did you go there with any
star?
Yeah. Did you go with any specific hopes and expectations, or were you pretty much an open mind when you went there? Not
really, because I think it all happened so quickly that I didn't really know what to expect or what to think. And I had really no idea of the Nashville system until I got over there and really lived it for the 6 years and realized fairly quickly that it wasn't really for me. But stuck it out because so many people believed in me and they'd invested so much, and I wanted to be successful for them. Like they really wanted this country girl to be the next big thing. And I think, at the end of the day, I wasn't making music like Taylor Swift and people that were on the radio, and I was making honest, real music. And And that doesn't always break through. It does every now and again, I know, and it has throughout the years, but it is more tricky, obviously, to not play the game and break through. So, I had some amazing people around me that really, really believed in me, and I really wanted to do well for them, and I wanted to, I want to be successful as well. It's always been a dream of mine to do this and do it properly. So, it was, might as well, you might as well take the opportunity and see where it takes you, I guess.
Yeah. For want of a better term, you've been very business savvy during your career, involvement in festivals, and you had some time running Rhythms magazine. Has that always been an area of interest for you to actively involve yourself in other aspects of the industry aside from just making your own music?
Well, I think that more plays into my ADD than anything else. I think that I just can't sit still and focus on one thing for too long, so opportunities come along and I kind of find myself, next minute I'm bought a magazine and I'm running it. So I don't really know how these things happen, but they do for some reason. But I've loved every minute of it. They've all been really wonderful experiences, and they're all, in the realm of what I love. I love really great music magazines and really passionate, music writers, and that's really what Rhythms is all about, and had an incredible history. And I, was a writer for the magazine before I bought it, and was so honoured just to be a part of it and to take it over for a few years and carry on its legacy for a little bit longer. That was something I'm always going to be proud of. And festivals and radio and all the different things I've gone into over the years, it's just kind of happened. Like, I haven't really chased any of it. It's just kind of, I don't know, like, circumstantial, I guess. It's just sort of been put in my lap, and then I just embrace it and make the most of it, I guess, for the time I have it.
For sure. Let's talk about this new record. Always a great deal of excitement when you release a new album, I'm sure. But is there a different feeling even this time around, different level of excitement, considering the state of the world that we're living in at the moment over the last 12 months, and of course now you've got total ownership over your product?
Yeah, it definitely changes everything for me. I feel really proud of this record. I've had 100% creative control, financial control, everything. It's all on me, and it's out on my new label, and it's been a huge learning curve. Having to sort of embrace a whole other side to the industry I had no idea about. But I've really enjoyed it. It's been really empowering and really fulfilling, sort of learning all of that, and sort of finding out that side of things was. Yeah, it was a big thing for me, but I'm really glad that I've kind of got to the point now where I know what's going on, kind of. Was it a direction that had been playing on your mind for a while? Has it been brewing slowly? Yeah, a little bit. My kids sort of influenced it, Here's one now who wants to steal my phone. Mummy's on an interview, darling. I'm just talking on the radio. Okay. So... they kind of influenced me wanting to be independent and sort of go out on my own so that they own the rights to my records, and they one day, all my hard work pays off and goes to them, I guess. So that was really important to me for sure. So is it something perhaps you wish you'd done earlier, or is this something maybe you couldn't have done earlier, this was the right time to do? I don't reckon I could have. No, I don't reckon I would have been ready earlier. Like, it would have been something I wasn't prepared for. I wouldn't have been emotionally ready to do it. It just wouldn't have made sense any earlier. So for me, this was the right time, and, I've just kind of embraced it fully and gone with it. And it's been a lot of hard work, but I'm really proud to get to this point where the album's out and getting the reaction that it's getting, and that feels really good. So. I've interviewed many songwriters through the years, and I'd say without a doubt the most common response to the question offering career advice to young songwriters would be never give up your publishing. And I would be guessing you'd be a subscriber to that thought? Well, funny, I just bought all my publishing back, and it was one of the most expensive ventures on this independent route that I've done. But yeah, by far one of the most important, I think. I've always had my publishing with a publishing label. Ever since I first started, that was the first thing I did, was sign my publishing over at 16 to EMI, I think it was. So, look, I haven't really ever experienced not having publishing. This is my first time with it, and I haven't, really obviously seen any benefits from it just yet, but I'm sure I will over the time. But, it's a tricky thing, because you kind of want that money to help you get going, and you need it, that support from labels and things, but there is the catch-22 that you then don't see any money from anything else, for years and years and years. So it depends which way you want to go, I guess. You've got to come up with the money yourself or figure out a different way. So, I've done both now, and I'm enjoying this new journey for sure.
Is it a stringent process getting the publishing back, aside from the cost, obviously?
It is a little tedious, just sort of going through and figuring out, or negotiating really, what that's going to cost and what that means. And, for me, it was a huge catalogue, obviously, to this point. This is my 8th studio album, so I was buying back a whole 7 albums worth of material, and that wasn't cheap and it wasn't easy. We got it done eventually, but worth it.
What about the next step, getting your albums back to re-release on your own label, getting hold of those? Is that a possibility too?
Yeah, look, there's 4 albums I've just got to kind of write off, unfortunately, masters anyway. But yeah, look, I think those major labels are not really willing to negotiate, you getting your masters back. They want to recoup on them forever, and that's just how the major label system goes. And I know a lot of big artists have tried to fight it over the years, and eventually they just end up re-recording the albums, which I'm sort of thinking I'll go down that route, because it could be really fun, like it's the first cut, Too Far Gone and Little Wildflower, 2 of them, and then some later records. It's just really kind of fun to do them a bit different and recreate them with a different band, or maybe even go back to where we did the original ones and try and get the same band and produce it back together. I don't know what I'll do, but I'm in the process now of kind of getting everything together when that actually comes up and I'm able to re-record them, because there's obviously a time limit on you being able to do that. But I think it's 2024 I'm able to re-record everything. And I'm working on a book now as well with Stuart Coop, and sort of getting all that together. So my plan is to kind of release it all, box set, autobiography all together, and sort of have a big thing come out in a few years' time. But it's a mission, so we'll see how I go with 2 small children and running labels and everything else.
That sounds like a good plan. Good plan indeed. If you could place a theme on this album, if you could place a theme on Home Truths, is there a common thread that runs through the songs that you could point out?
I guess for me, Home Truth sums up the record, because my son's telling me to stop talking. Mate, I'm just on an interview. I just need you to give me 5 more minutes, please. No, I need you to go sit on your iPad just for 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes. Good boy. Thank you so much. Okay, Home Truth, yeah. So for me, Home Truth kind of sums up the record. It sums up country music for me, home truths of truths that come from somebody you love or that you trust, that you may not necessarily want to hear, and that can be harsh, but you need to hear, and that are true and honest. And to me, that's country music, but it also sums up this record. I've never not been honest in my lyrics and my songwriting. I've always been really bare and sort of naked in my writing, and I'm proud of that. It's very revealing at times and hard to sing live sometimes, but it's how I've always been, and this album is definitely no different. I think as I get older, I get more honest and more real, which, is a little scary.
You went through the process of crowdfunding it, and the response was overwhelming from what I believe, much more than you anticipated. That must have been a great shot of confidence, knowing that as an artist, that there are people out there willing to put their faith in you by investing in your product up front. Yeah,
I mean, that was a real sort of show to me of the fan base and, people that believe. And after doing it for 20 years, you've got to wonder, if you've still got those people there and if they still care enough to give you some money to make a record before it comes out. That was really shocking for me and really revealing and a really wonderful feeling, very emotional and all the things that you feel when you kind of realize people care. So it was really wonderful. And I couldn't have thought of a better way of doing this record than with them, and their support and having them behind me. It felt like the ultimate way to do it, was to go independent and then do it with my fans that have been there with me the whole way and have believed in me. So it was a really, really nice full circle thing to sort of go and do. So it was wonderful.
Always a tough decision to pick a first single release from an album. You went with I'm a Country Song, which also opens the album. Was there anything in particular about that song that made it seem the right one to pick as the first song to drop?
Yeah, I just sort of felt like it was a really great sort of fresh, fun, radio sort of song to sort of kick things off, you know. That was one of in the first batch. We did 2 batches of recording. That we did a first batch of about 5 songs right after Tamworth last year, and that was in there, and Favourite Song was in there, and Home Truths, the album title, and then I, you know, after COVID hit, I wrote the rest of the record and finished the rest when we could go back in the studio again. So I kind of had those songs ready to go. So I thought, okay, these songs are ready. These to me sound like singles, and they're fun, and you know, they represent the album and the sound, the new sound, you know, that to me is really going back to that early sound of mine, you know, the sort of late 90s, early 2000s stuff that I was doing. And I was really influenced while writing this record by all that stuff again, you know, the Dixie Chicks and sort of that really great, solid songwriting, harmonies, beautiful playing, you know, really great top A-grade playing. And that's really what I wanted to recreate with this record, was just a really solid country album that just stood up and stood the test of time and just was great, solid lyrics and melodies. And to me, that song kind of summed that all up for me. And I thought, well, you know, it probably makes sense to release that as the first single.
You took on the production this time yourself. How did you find that experience?
Yeah, I loved it. I've done it a little bit over the years. We did Cold Cold Heart. Myself and the band produced it, and Always Never Enough I produced over in Austin with Bill Chambers. So I have done it a little bit, and I've stepped into the role of producing other artists a lot lately as well, which I really love so much. So yeah, it's definitely, you know, at this point in my career, I feel like it's, you know, like it makes sense, I guess. I know what I want in the studios now, and you know, when I'm writing the songs, I can sort of hear the finished product almost, you know, when I'm done with it. So it kind of feels like it makes sense to just sort of go down that road, you know, financially, but also musically and sonically. So Michael Moko actually helped me produce this one, and it just kind of happened accidentally. He was just such a helper for me through this record, and I leaned on him so much with the mixes and everything that I ended up just saying, look, mate, I think you deserve the credit of co-producing on this, because you've really just done as much as I have, and it wouldn't sound, or you know, the way it does without you. So I ended up giving him the credit of co-producer, but initially it was, you know, just doing it on my own, but he was such a big part of it. So yeah, it was a really nice process.
I like the sentiment of the song Favourite Song, how you can learn a lot about a person and get to know them through the music they love, and you shared some wonderful memories on that song about discovering music with your dad. Is that something you actively do when you do meet people? Source what music they're into?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think I've found my strongest friendships throughout the years through a musical connection, and it generally starts with, you know, a late night jam with wine involved, and you know, you kind of get to know somebody, and you know, you see if you click, I guess, as a person. Like, I feel like if you listen, you know what somebody's into, you kind of know if you're going to be really good friends with them or not, like if you're going to be on the same page. You know, I've got plenty of friends who aren't in the music business, and that's okay too. You know, they're just normal people who do normal jobs, and they're very different lives to me, or they're stay-at-home mums or whatever, friends from school and stuff, and we don't have that connection. But for me, my strongest connections are those ones I've sort of found through music, because you do have that really strong bond through the understanding with each other of what you love and what you're passionate about. And it did start with my dad, you know, him sharing music with me and us getting that bond from a very young age together, and that bond is still there. And, you know, later in life with my husband, and sort of discovering, you know, music together with him, and realizing he was just somebody so different to me, but he loved the same music as me, and that sort of was the reason we fell in love, you know, early on. So yeah, it's just, and friendships, you know, things like that throughout the years have all kind of been bonded through music. So that song really is a very honest reflection of my life in a lot of ways, and you know, how I sort of conduct myself, I guess. Yeah.
Well, 2020 was pretty much a write-off touring-wise for all musicians. So, but an upside of that, I guess, is it would have given you some more family time. Prior to 2020, had you pretty much mastered the art of balancing career and parenthood?
I think I'm still mastering that. It's, you know, it's so tricky. I think being an artist or being a musician does definitely not go hand in hand with being a mother. You know, it's so tricky to figure out how to do this touring life and you know, be a proper mom who's there for your kids and watching them grow. And you know, we ended up just taking them on the road with us, you know, and my husband ended up not working, and that was sort of the only way we could all be together all the time and still make a living. And that was really wonderful, you know, traveling Australia in a caravan and doing that whole journey together was really special and a time in my life I'll never forget. But, you know, you kind of also got to get to a point where you've got to figure out a way, because they're going to end up in school and things like that. So I've kind of just stripped it right back to this weekend touring now. I have the kids during the week, and then I go away on the weekends on my own and tour. So that's what 2021 will hold, and I'll see how long I last doing it that way. But it's tricky. It certainly is not a balance that you ever master, because your kids always want you around, you know, and weekends are really going to be when I'm going to miss out on things, and I know that. But you know, welcome to the life of a musician who's a mum. You know, that's just how it is. So, yeah.
Now, the third and current single is Me, which I saw you co-wrote over Zoom sessions with Katrina Burgoyne. Tell us about the collaborative process there on that one. Yeah,
well, this was actually a song idea I got from during COVID. My mum emptied out her house and gave me all my 20 years worth of memorabilia in huge tubs, huge Bunning tubs. Like, I'm talking like 50 of these tubs. It was just ridiculous that they've kept over the years, and amazing. And I was just digging through it slowly over the time in my studio as I was doing the Facebook Lives and whatever. I was doing these songs and stories, and each week I would tell a different story from my career and something that, substantially happened. And so digging through these tubs brought back all these memories. And I guess what I really discovered, especially going through the Nashville years, was that if I'd just sort of been me and been okay with that all along, maybe I would have been all right. I was so hesitant to be myself, or to stand up for myself at times, that I let people bully me and I let people, tell me I was what I wasn't. And, particularly other people in the industry more than managers. I mean, there were certainly managers and things that did that as well, but colleagues, other artists and people like that sort of feel the need to tell you, certain things about yourself that I know now as a 36-year-old mum aren't true. And, they were either speaking from a point of anger or jealousy or whatever. I'm not even sure where it comes from. But, I've realized now that, I just should have just been me all along and just not given a crap about them, just done my own thing. And it's a thing that comes with age, though, isn't it, really? And that's really what the song is about. It's just sort of saying, well, stuff all of you, I'm just going to be me and I'm going to be okay with that. And if you don't like it, there's not much I care, get on with your life, What do you want me to do about it? So, I'm really proud of that song and really glad to have it out. People seem to be responding to it really well too, which is really nice.
So is there an ultimate plan with your own label now to put other artists on there as well?
It is, actually. Funny you say that. I'm going down that road now as well. This year I want to really set up a sort of label services type thing where, as I said, I produce artists now, and I write with them, and I do the whole process from, beginning to end with them. So I kind of wanted to set that up through a label structure, just sort of distribution sort of thing, nothing too serious, but, develop young artists and sort of help them get from point A to point B. I never really felt like I had that much, help like that as a kid, and I would have loved to have somebody do that for me and help me out from, the beginning of writing the songs all the way through to putting it out to radio and distributing and whatever. So that's what I'm planning on doing this year, is kind of getting that label set up as a full service thing and, see how that goes and sort of develop some artists and help the next sort of crew come through.
Fantastic. Now, touring-wise, as far as we're concerned here in Victoria, you've got a couple of regional shows coming up in February. Any chance we'll see you down here closer to Melbourne later in the year? Is that on the agenda?
Well, yeah, I'm actually putting together the rest of the year now. The Bush Pubs tour will take us all over again. A lot of the stuff we never ended up getting to before will be rebooked in. There's a fair bit of Victorian stuff because we never actually made it down there. It will be rebooked, Nudgee and places like that. So I don't know if there's any going to be in Melbourne. You don't really have any Bush Pubs in Melbourne, so it's a bit tricky. But, not far away for sure, all around Melbourne and in some beautiful areas, so it'll be worth the travel, that's for sure.
Certainly within driving distance anyway. Yep. Okay, well, Catherine, I'll let you get back to mum duties there. Thank you for being so generous with your time in what is a very busy time for you. Good luck with the gold guitars on Saturday night. I'm sure you'll do a mighty job there. And congratulations on a wonderful album.
Cheers. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. Cheers,
Take
mate.
care. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye.